Hey everyone, welcome to today's video. This is our second video in our HR Digital Forms series where we're going to be covering the Leavers form. So in our last video we covered the new starter form. Today is going to be the Leavers form. As usual, we'll jump into a demo of the form, and then the second part will be the configuration, where you can follow how we've configured it. So you can either build it yourself, but as always you've always got the option to hop over to PowerAppify, our partner, PowerAppify.com, where you can download the template of the form and get it up and running in your business in no time. Okay, so let's hop right into it. Right, so I fired up my Leavers form from within the Power Apps menu. Here it is. This is the initial page that is going to load. Over here, it's got a Start Here page. There's some buttons here. If you want to click on those and load in your documentation, that covers off your Leavers process from a manager's perspective and an employee's perspective. And then over here is just you can add any information that is required as you proceed to fill out the Leavers form. So we go over to the general information first. Excuse me. Find the name of whoever the leaver is. I'm just going to pick someone in my directory. Actually, let me pick someone else. John Moore. Okay, you can see here it just automatically populates these fields based on whatever's in Office 365 directory. If the manager's name is wrong, I can update it here and put the correct one in. What that does is also sends an email to the service desk saying that there's probably an error in the directory, wrong manager, and gets them to check it. But in this case, it doesn't need to be updated. So what is the country? This is just a drop-down list pulling from a SharePoint list at the back end. Just pick a country. What is their office? It automatically fills in an office. If there's only one office, if there's multiple offices, like let's say in America, we've got multiple offices, there'll be multiple offices in America to select from. And then the Leavers team, let's put business development. Right, proceed to, you can see now this enables this button. Once we've added the required information, we can then go to the next screen. If there was a picture, this just means there isn't a picture uploaded in the Office 365 directory. It just puts that blank image, but if there was a profile picture then for that person, then that would be displayed there. In fact, let's go back and try a different person who might have a, I think John Deere might have one. There we go, you can see there. So let's just change it to this person for the example here. So what's the reason for leaving? Resignation. Type of contract the leaver is on, just a normal permanent. This is automatically populated depending on the country, the office that person's based in. It'll automatically select the right payroll. As I said in this example, there might be different, like a payroll in a different country that has a different payroll email address. So that's why there's a select, and all those email addresses are set on the office location SharePoint list on the back end. Right, do they have any holidays left? We can put, yeah, they've got 5.5 days. Automatically calculates the hours over there. Some people prefer hours when they're calculating this kind of thing. Holidays to be deducted, none. Days worked in the last month is for contractor staff only. So if this was selected contractor, then that would be able to be filled in. But this is a permanent member. What's their private email? Just fill in their private email address to send their relevant documentation to once they've left. No additional comments. Yeah, you can just leave that blank if you want. Now we're going to proceed to the payroll screen. Does the company have a credit card? We can say yes. Are they due a final bonus? No. If they were, if that was selected yes, then these would be ungrade. Any additional comments? We've got no additional payroll comments. As I said, that can be blank as well. Proceed to the IT section. What hardware do they have? Let's say they have a laptop and a mobile. Do you want to keep their inbox active? You can keep it active for, let's say, 3 months. Do you want to forward their emails to anyone? Yes. It has to be someone internally, it can't be external. So let's say send it to their manager. If they were in the IT department, then you'd be able to select this, but because they're not, that's grayed out. So this is the time, when are they actually going to leave, so the service desk knows when to disable that account by. So we can say they're going to leave by the 31st of January at 6 o'clock. That's when they will need to disable the account by. No additional IT comments. And then proceed to the final section. Here, just the general feedback form that we have on all our HR forms. We can fill that in. Great form. And then, yeah, we just click on submit. And when we click submit, we will have a look at the emails that are sent. Let's pop over to the emails quickly. This is the success screen. Let's have a look at the emails that are sent. Okay, so I've gone into our mailbox and had a look at the sent items. So these are all the emails that have been sent as a part of the leavers form request. So over here we can see this is the email that's sent to IT. It's got all the general information about that leaver, and then the IT specific information. This is the one that goes to HR. This is all the general information, and then just the reason for leaving for HR and any additional comments. Payroll, we've got all the general information that goes to all of the email recipients, and then this is the payroll specific information. This goes to the leaver and the leaver's manager. Basically everything that was captured in the form is sent to them for reference. Service desk, this is the feedback section that is sent. It goes to the service desk and also some random recipients that you can set up within the code. So those are all the emails that are sent, and that's basically the form in a nutshell. Very easy to customize, very easy to set up. There's a few SharePoint lists in the backend that support the form. Right, so let's hop into the actual Power Apps Studio and I'll show you how it's configured. So I've loaded up the levers form in Power Apps Studio. This is the home screen that's loaded, basically the general screen. But come over here, there's a component that's been created, which is this one here. So this is used within all the screens within the levers form, and it basically is just, it's got two buttons on there that click over that link to your documentation for your manager and your staff, just for a guide so they can easily refer through to the process for levers. And this just has a log on, so whoever's logged on has their profile picture over there, and then their log on name over here, just so they know that's who's logged on. And then you can put your brand in on this component. This component, it just applies to all screens, so any changes you make on here will automatically happen on all your screen that this component is applied to. Right, let's have a look at, before we jump into the configuration, just our data sources. So these data, so there's a number of HR digital forms that we're releasing as a part of this. I've included all the data sources for all the forms, so you won't need to modify these. They'll just be the same. The main ones are the data location, the team names, the languages spoken, the digital HR digital forms, SharePoint list. So basically, that just captures some basic information, no sensitive information, just for reporting purposes, for how many levers they've had, how many starters that you've had, and you can report on those and create dashboards and all that kind of thing. These I could quickly have a look at maybe the office locations just one second. So here we have the office locations SharePoint list. That's a part of the package. Yeah, and you can see these are all the offices that we have, their region, their country. This has to do with the holidays entitlements per that region or office, currency, time zone, and these are all the emails that are sent. So you can configure your emails in here depending on, you might have a single payroll company email address for your whole company. Then you just put the same email address in there, just corresponding to each of these offices. So you can modify these rows to match your business, but please don't modify the columns here. You can add columns, but please don't change those, because the HR digital forms all rely on those columns and the naming of those. The languages spoken, they're very simple. They just basically a list of languages, the same for the teams, and this is the digital forms SharePoint list. Basically it just captures very basic information from each request, and this you can use to go into and integrate with Power BI and visualize the list and create dashboards and all that kind of thing. So we won't get into too much detail on that. Alright, let's hop back into Power Apps Studio. We'll go back onto the screens. So we're on this screen, and yeah, so over here this is just a combo box over here. So you can just copy that code. That basically means whenever you start typing in a name in there, it'll search in Office 365 users for any names starting the same and present them in a drop-down list, and you can just select them. This is then dependent on that combo box. Whatever name you put in there, it basically adds in the email as the default item in there, and this is just basically a text box. You can update it as well if it's incorrect. Job title, the same, it populates it from the directory services. If that is incorrect, you can just go and modify it. And then this is the manager's name again. It just populates whatever's in whoever's that person's manager in Active Directory or Office 365 directory. It'll just put that in there, that name. But if that's incorrect, you can update it here, and it'll basically capture the correct value in, and that's used later on to send the information to the manager. If this is incorrect, as I said in the demo, it'll also send an email to the service desk. So if you've checked this and changed the name, just to get them to check the manager in directory to make sure it's the correct manager. Right, so the next one is a down list. This is just a drop-down list pulling on that office locations. Distinct just means if there's any duplicates, it'll just have a single office name, and then it'll just sort those. So basically pulls a list of all the countries that are in that SharePoint list, and then populates in here so you can select it. And then these are dependent on the selections here. Okay, so where this will be office locations, where the function is in office, and this value is selected, then give us the title of that office, right? So you can see if there's multiple offices for one, then it'll provide those offices. So it links the offices to the country. Yeah, as we looked at the SharePoint list, office locations. So basically, it's saying for this country, is there an office there? Yeah. So North America, there's a few offices, right? So it's all pulling from this SharePoint list over here. And then the team, again, that's a SharePoint list, pulls from the levers team. So just to clarify this one, there was actually a hidden box here which is confusing the matter. So this one here, you can see it's items, it's pulling from a SharePoint list called team names, the title, and that's where it's getting the list of the team names from. So you can just select the team names here. We've got a few hidden items here. So if you go in here, it's just this sets basically the email addresses that are used to send to. If you go in here and just set that group to visible true. Sorry. There we go. You can see these are populated, and are basically, depending on what you've selected here, it looks up in that SharePoint list the office locations, what is the corresponding HR email address, service desk email address, and payroll email address for each of those office. I'll click on there just so you can have a look at the code. It's basically just have a look at the items property, have a look at the office locations SharePoint list where country equals the value of my levers country drop down list. Okay, and that's pretty much the same for the other two as well. Okay, there we go. And the actual value it's pulling is payroll. That's the payroll email. And this one you can see it's a service desk email, and this one you can see it's the HR email. Okay, so I'm going to re-hide those again. Click on the group because those are grouped up. On the visible equals false. Okay, those are gone. Right, let's move on to the next screen. So the next screen, we can have a look at our progress bar here. So basically these are just made visible, or depending on the screen that we're on. This is just a drop down list with the items of the drop down list just manually added in here, so they can select, you can modify those to suit your business. Again, same for the type of contracts, depending on what kind of contracts you have in your business, you can select over there. The assigned payroll email, oh sorry, actually I forgot on the previous screen, just have a look at this button here. So this is all the values that are captured in here, or captured as variables here. So over here, the naming convention I use is var G for general screen. Wherever there's a G, that, you know, if it's a var H is the HR screen, var I is the IT screen, the levers form, HR email. So basically, it's saying set this variable to the value of that drop down list, and that's the same for all of these. So you can just work through those and figure them out. Where this one, where there's an option to update the manager, if that checkbox is to update the manager is true, then set the manager, the variable for the manager, set it to whatever's set in there, right? So just make sure that the correct manager is set in as the variable. Right, sorry, let's hop back to the HR screen. Yeah, so this this variable for the payroll email is displayed there because that's going to be the same. Basically just showing them so they can validate it. These are just drop down lists, just added some numbers in there for days holiday, and then the hours are just added here, so it's just doing some basic maths in there. The hours one's a little bit different, times by 8 hours in a day. The same for the next one down there, I won't cover that off. Where these items are grayed out, if you just go in here, it's basically just the display mode on the form, just saying, you know, some logic in here. So this isn't required for North America. So if the varg country is North America, then that's disabled. There's also some other logic in there depending on the type of contract it is. So if it's a contractor, then that's enabled. If not, it will be grayed out. This is just a basic text box and a comments box over there, multi-line text box. To go back, it's just basically a navigate to the screen. The forward one, again, in this form, captures all the values that we've set there in the var H for HR, and then just navigates to the next screen once it's captured all the values. Go down to the finance screen. Very simple again. Just captures the credit card information as a basic drop-down list with yes or no set. Again, another basic drop-down list. Again, these are, if there's a select to yes, then these will be enabled. If you go in here and just have a look at the display mode, there's the logic in there, so it's fairly straightforward. Same for the others, and then this is again just a multi-line text box. Again, this proceed to IT button just captures all the variables in here. There's some logic in here. If it's blank, then set the variable to none, so just make it a bit more easier to read when the email goes out, instead of having a true or false. Okay, and then moving to the last screen, which is the IT screen, or the last screen where we collect information. In here, just check boxes where you can select them. Those are captured into variables depending what's selected. This is just a drop-down list with some manual items entered into the items properties. This checkbox just if you need to forward emails, and then this is just another directory lookup, just looking in the Office 365 users function. Whatever you start typing in there, it'll drop down list and you can select someone in your directory. If this one is only applied if someone's in IT, so on the first screen if they put in the IT team, then this will be enabled. We can see that if we go into the display mode one here. So there we go. If Varji team is IT, or actually these are not valid for this, so we can delete those. If Varji is IT, then display mode is edit, otherwise display mode is disabled. And then this is just a date capture with the default date, so you can just go insert date picker, and then this I use as the time, and I run a concat. I'll show you in the code of the proceed button, but this just makes it easier to read format. And then this is just a text comment box. So on the proceed button, here we go, we're capturing all the values for the laptop, has desktop, has mobile, keep inbox active. Again, I use the if statement here just to make the value that's captured as a variable a bit more easy to read, so when we send the email out, it puts a bit more explanation to that. And yeah, you can just work your way through these. Here is where I capture the time and use a concatenate command there to concat the hour selected and the minutes, so that will be easier to read in the email again. And then that's it on that screen. Proceed to the final screen. Here we've got a rating, feedback basically, just added in this little rating thing here. So you can go insert, you just go star, there we go, 5 star is just one of those, and you can select the max there. I've got 5, and then it'll just capture it on the submit button, same as any comments. And then as per usual, add those as variables, and then we use the variables in the emails themselves. So as I said earlier, we have that HR Digital Forms SharePoint list. We just capture some very basic data in there for reporting purposes. This is how we do it. So we patch the data into the HR Digital Forms SharePoint list. Defaults means just add a new line, and then this is the information that we capture into the SharePoint list and write it into that. Here is where we set up our emails. So we set them as variables. We capture the sort of HTML formatting of the emails in there. So basically all information. If you had a look at the demo, you saw that in all the emails we had general information that we were able to send to all teams. This is where we define it in here. So basically bold, underline, general leavers information, bold, underline, where there's a BR here, it's just a space. So space, in form submitted by, and then we're going to append the user, the full name, then a new line, a BR is new line, not space. Again, another space, who's the leaver name, and then we start applying our variables in here. Okay, so that just captures it. So wherever I put var leavers all info, it'll capture all this HTML info into the email. Then we set our summary, so our subject. So we've got our leavers summary. This is the one where it sends a summary to the manager and the person who submitted the leavers request of all the information. that's the subject detail. Here's the leavers admin subject, here's the IT email subject, and here's the body of the emails. So I've called them var IT email body. So here's the IT section, just as I spoke before, just assigning those variables to the different labels in there. And here's the one that goes to HR. I'm not going to go to too much detail, it's pretty self-explanatory. Here's the one that goes to finance, and here's where we actually send the emails. So we use the Office 365 Outlook connector .send email v2, and here we just put in the variables in into the email, right? So and we go in here, who's the to, it's going to service desk email we captured earlier on. This is the subject, this is the var IT email subject that we defined up there with the HTML code. This is the general all information that we defined earlier on in the screen, and then the var IT email body. Okay, so it's very easy to send the emails out with the different information because we've stored it all in variables. So that's how I work it here. And here's one that goes to HR, here's the one that goes to payroll, here's the one that goes to the manager and the person who submitted the form. This next bit of code here is just so if basically where the person leaves comments, if it's not blank, then it will send an email, and if it is blank, then it won't. And the same, where I said it sends it to the service desk, it also sends it to some other recipients that you can define over there. It's up to you if you want to keep that in, you can always delete it. And then this is the part where it'll log a service desk ticket if your basically your manager is not correct in the directory, as we showed on the general first screen, the first screen, which was the general screen. If that basically that checkbox to update manager is equal to true, it will then send this off to the service desk to run their check, and that's it. And then we move on to the success screen. So the success screen is just the last screen on there. There we go, it's just a very basic screen. So that's it in a nutshell. It's very simple form. It's more about getting the process, understanding it, make it really easy to use for your users. You want them to be able to come in here, capture all the data really easily, be able to capture the relevant information for reporting purposes, and also email all the different teams the information that they need to complete the lever in this case, and make it as streamlined and as simple as possible. So hopefully you enjoyed that video. Hopefully you're going to find use for this this levers form. As I said, you can create it yourself, or you can hop over to powerappify.com and you can download the template from there. And if you need any help, then just get in touch. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Please do subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up, it really helps the channel. Thanks for listening, we'll catch up with you soon. Cheers.